Reading the email response to my freeloader special was a little depressing. Your show was obscene, insulting, irresponsible. Some people called me an idiot. So it was nice to get this email here, which said, the show was the greatest thing I've ever seen on television. Magnificent. That email came from Ann Coulter, so of course I immediately invited her to come on the show to defend me. So please, defend me.
That show, you just hit it all. I mean, you've seen segments, or I've seen segments of it before, the bums on the street there was at a very popular bar in New York, Shelby's, a few years ago. There was a guy who stood outside panhandling all the time. The owner of the restaurant said, "You want a job dishwashing?" And he said, "Oh, no, I make much more money out here." And that was basically what you showed. But then you go into all of the corporate welfare. I must say the Indian segment was astonishing. I had no idea there were all these massively successful Indians who hadn't been ruined by the government. But there you have it, the test case.
And yet this woman who just sat here, who used to manage the trust for the Indians, doesn't bat an eye. She says, this is the treaty, and who are you to criticize it? Who are you to speak for the Indians? We Indians want these handouts.
Yeah, and they've done so much with them. And then you have the multimillionaire Indians who have gone off and started businesses and live in fabulous homes, and there is your test case. There is your control group.
I would think so, and yet the mail suggests they are unmoved. Is there something about once you're getting a check, once you're involved in the handout system, nothing must change?
You can never take things away from people. I mean, look at what's going on with Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Even though it's a disastrous system, most people probably alive today will never see a penny of their Social Security. Oh, no, don't touch it, don't touch it. And liberals defend it by saying, well, it's a very popular program. Well, yeah, if you go to the guy who just won the lottery, he probably thinks the lottery's a fine idea, too.
I just don't get how the Indians can still say it's a fine idea when
they see their successful compatriots.
Some people criticize me because I did dress up as a panhandler.
I loved that.
TV gimmick. But I did say that the biggest freeloaders were corporations.
Right, of course.
And those examples are ugly. I've got some new ones. Walt Disney World qualified as a farm by putting some cows to pasture in Orlando, and they shaved millions off their tax bill.
The farm subsidies, they are some of the worst ones because the vast majority of it goes to huge agribusiness, and then we get to see pictures of the small family farmer. Well, the small family farmer isn't getting that much of it. Point one, often none at all.
Point two, they shouldn't get it.
Point two, they shouldn't
free in
get
America. Stand on your own 2 feet.
Point four, or whatever point we're up to now. In exchange for the subsidies, there are limits put on how much the farmers can grow. But those are waived in the case of, the big farmers, the big agribusinesses. They aren't waived in the case of the little farmers. Now, I think a lot of farmers, big and small, are a little bit nervous about just cutting it off cold turkey because they've arranged their business, and I agree with them. You have to phase it out. They've arranged their business affairs.
Okay, but they don't even talk about phasing it out.
That's right. And Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats.
I was going to say, they go to Iowa. Some of these guys are your friends, and when I say to them, how can you support this? They just sort of look at me blankly. They don't even give a real response.
It's welfare for the red states.
But they have to do this to get the votes in Iowa?
I don't think so. I don't know why it has been so hard. I think people have a warm feeling about farmers, as do I, but this is bourgeois parasitism. That's what you need to focus on. And your Indian segment, again, it shows how much better people do when they are left to their own devices to the free market.
Oh, we do. Now, I champion business, but I have to admit businesses are not always capitalists. Business loves to have a partner in government if they can get it. A little window maker in California must have loved the attention it got by having the vice president praise its products.
You're not just churning out windows. You're making some of the most energy-efficient windows in the world.
Think getting the vice president was a big deal? Heck, they got the president, too.
These workers will now have a new mission: producing some of the most energy-efficient windows in the world.
So this is how this system works. I call it crony capitalism.
Yes, that's
There
exactly
are lots of window companies. There's no proof that this company's windows were superior. but they had connections. One of the people who worked for the company, his wife, worked in the energy department, giving out grants.
Yes, it's very creepy. It is fascistic when the government starts picking the winners and the losers and who's going to get the subsidy and who's going to get the price quotas and who's going to have the president and the vice president show up and praise their products.
But fascistic scares me. That's a creepy word itself. Why is it fascistic?
That is what FDR, as you know, and probably your viewers know, wanted to model his recovery plans, national recovery plan, on Mussolini's corporatives. They want government and business working hand in hand. Well, of course, the problem with that is you have to know somebody. You know somebody who knows somebody. It is like all of these corrupt and utterly failed nations where the government picks the winners and the losers, and to get work done, you have to know somebody. That isn't America. You produce a good product.
Well, less so if you can make more money more easily by knowing somebody or just using...
Yes, like all the green products now. All this nonsense with the solar panels. And
windmills.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not working, but the government will pay you to do it. And if the government is going to set up those incentives, I mean, you actually will get perfectly honorable people saying, okay, well, I can make money doing this.
Here's another honorable person. Michael Dell likes to hunt. He's a billionaire. He puts out feed for deer, and that qualifies as a well-managed deer herd. He got $71.4 million. His taxes reduced to $290,000, the value of the land.
Wait, does Michael Dell just happen to have the same name as the name of the man who puts out Dell computers?
No, it's the same guy.
And
Thank
he's
you.
a deer farmer?
Well, he is now. Thank you, Ann Coulter. When we return, the biggest freeloaders.